All right, good morning, everyone. The chair will call this meeting of the Board of County Commissioners to order this Thursday, August 27th, 2026. The first item on our agenda this morning is to approve minutes of August 20th. Can I get a motion to approve? Okay, a motion has been made by Commissioner Levitt, seconded by Commissioner Feliciano. Is there any changes or amendments to the minutes? Not hearing any. All those in favor of adoption, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the vote is unanimous. Item 2 is to meet with some Riverside Restaurant Department head, Mr. Bauer.
Who wants to go first?
Who wants to go first? We got quite a crowd here.
Go ahead, Christie. I know you.
Yeah, you.
Come sit up here.
Come sit up here.
Yeah, you all should sit up here. Yeah.
No, we hide in the corner.
You're on.
All right, so I'm Christy Hughes. I am the Director of Social Service at Riverside. I'm also the social worker on Unit 5, which is the dementia unit.
Yeah.
So I've been the social worker on the dementia unit for 25 years. So
Been here a while.
a long time. Yeah.
Just talk a little bit about the diversity of the unit, Christie, in terms of
Of all the units and
No,
just
well-
in general.
of all the units, but
Okay.
you can, you know.
Yeah. So we have 4 different units at Riverside. So Unit 5, which is my unit, is the dementia unit. So we have so primarily, all different types of dementia. We have different types of, people can be agitated, they can wander, all different types of behaviors, that we have up there. It's a secure unit so that they're safe if they wander. And also having residents with dementia together, some of their behaviors don't bother each other, whereas they might bother other residents. And then Unit 4 is a more general unit. It can also be secure. We have some people on there get a little confused, might want to get outside when they shouldn't. So that we have the Wander Guard system, on that unit as well. Unit 2 is another general unit, and then we have the behavior unit, which is Unit 1.
And that also is a secure unit.
Yes.
And one
They
of,
are, Unit 2's elevator is secure as well. We do, it's just the 1 and 5 are more secure. And the residents on those units who might try to get off the unit have Wander Guard bracelets that will alert the alarm just to give an extra layer of security. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
and, I'll say it again with all the people that come up and address you. Every one of these department heads are people that substantially contribute to that 5-star rating that, that we were, or I found out, or we were notified of last week. So.
Right.
Yeah, so each unit has its own social worker. And we are involved kind of from the beginning before they come in until after they pass away. We have families that still call us after with questions, so we try to maintain that relationship with them. We manage a lot of a lot of the psychiatric stuff with residents. We do the list work with the psychiatrist and the medications. We do everything from that to going to the store to buy them underwear. So, you name it, we do it.
And the trick for me is if I am not tremendously familiar with the resident's family, I'll choose to call one of the social workers, just to get some background information so that happens.
Yes, yeah, because we know which families are struggling, we know which families are not, we know which families are, having a hard time, we know which families are harder to work with, which ones are easier to work with, and then also which families are having family issues amongst themselves, because that's a lot of what we have to manage. Sometimes the person who's in charge and the other siblings they don't see eye to eye, and it can be kind of complicated. We also do, I'm helping someone next week do a guardianship, so we'll help with that kind of thing too. If they don't have their power of attorney done, sometimes we have to help them with some legal stuff too, the guardianship stuff.
So we'll actually help them file the paperwork and appear in court, provide whatever paperwork the court needs. The vast majority of our guardianships are not contested, although we have had contested guardianships in the past, but
And oftentimes it's contested not by the person who needs the guardian, but by another family member who's arguing who should be guardian.
But
Not really fun.
one of the things that we have is that pretty much no one who applies for guardianship has any money. So there's no dispute amongst the group because there's assets. Because as you know, we're pretty much we're all Medicaid. So, or spending down to Medicaid, having, meaning having a small sum of money.
How many patients do you guys manage?
So before we closed unit 3, it was 215. So now we can be at about 175. Sometimes we have roommate issues. We have people that don't do well with a roommate. So that cuts back, sometimes we just have somebody that can't have a roommate. Are we at
70, when everybody's there. I know we have a couple people in the hospital right now.
A couple coming.
Yeah. And that is one of the things that will limit, like we have.
So each social worker will have 40 plus.
Yeah.
People pretty much. So Christy carries the additional burden of also supervising the balance of the social workers. So they'll go to her for, challenging situations that they might not have seen before, but, Christy's been there and done that. But actually, all of our social workers have been there a long time.
Yeah, everyone's been here for a long time. And we also we'll take cases, I have my unit, but then I cover a resident on unit 4 and a resident on unit 2 because there were conflicts. So we are able to do that. So I take the problem.
You're a special person.
Children.
Yeah. For what you do. It's
So,
amazing.
I don't know if you have any questions.
Thank you. though.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I can put
you're such a
someone
great job.
else on the hot seat.
Admissions is up.
Next.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Shannon McEwen. I'm the admissions coordinator. I work closely with Christy and the rest of the social workers to assess people to determine what unit would be best for them. We take people from home, from other facilities, the hospital. We try to keep a good picture out there of safety concerns. We make sure we prioritize anyone that's in dire straits if possible. So I look at the medical records, make sure we can properly take care of them. We meet the families and the resident, try to place them appropriately. Can be tricky with roommate matches. Sometimes we have to rearrange, but we do our best.
It gets tricky when you're sharing a bathroom with 2 men and 2 women. Because there's one bathroom for 4 people, that becomes tricky.
And I think we only have one situation like that. We try to keep it so that the same gender shares the bathroom. Gets tricky if we have a husband and wife and the other room is 2 females, so we do try to keep that into consideration too.
And one of the things that we changed in the last few years was the fact that you're a nurse. And that we had a civilian employee doing admissions and then all that meant is we pulled another nurse to, go out and do the visit. So it really made no sense. So as we changed things around, you moved off 11 to 7.
Yes, I moved off
11 to 7 supervisor.
But I think the supervising and knowing all the units, the staff, all the residents has made it a lot easier for me to figure out where people would fit best.
Shannon, it's funny, I heard your name recently. I know someone who placed a family member and they said Shannon was amazing to speak to. So I just wanted to tell you that I didn't know who you were at the time, but so it's so nice to meet you.
You
They
too.
just said that they really enjoyed speaking with Shannon. She was so helpful.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
It's
for
good to
what you do.
hear.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard the same, so.
Thank you.
I still like the head.
So yeah,
Great.
mine's pretty basic, not as involved as this one.
Chris and Trish?
Good morning, everyone. I am Trish Sprague. I have been with Riverside for 24 years. I started as a nurse on the behavior unit. My current position is the nursing services coordinator, which basically I support Ray and the DON and the ADON projects, auditing, monitoring, infections. And most recently, I've been working with Chris in infection control.
So you know that CMS regulations demands that we always have an infection control certified person. So when I covered at Rockingham once when there was a gap in time and between somebody had left and the state frowns on that. They understand there's a hiring time, but it's not a desirable situation to be without somebody who's certified. So Chris is certified and Trish is certified as, a backup.
Yeah.
But go, Chris, you're on.
And I've been also with Riverside for quite a long time, since 2002, so about 25 years now as well. I started off as an LNA, then became a medication assistant, then became a unit nurse, and now I'm the director of infection control. It's hard to actually summarize all the things, all the components of my job, but we have our quarterly meetings, and my part is pretty significant in that. In our last one, I had mentioned that as of right now, Riverside is one of the 5 biggest nursing homes in the state of New Hampshire to begin with. And I just made the point that our residents here are probably the best vaccinated residents in New Hampshire history, because we are required to give certain vaccines, by the state. The state requires it, federal guidelines require it. We offer additional ones in addition to that, such as Shingrix and most recently RSV. And that isn't standard for nursing homes, especially Shingrix, but Shingrix is actually, I can vouch for, we've been giving it since late 2018, I believe is when it first came out. And I've seen outstanding results from it, because we still get shingles sometimes, but not as often as we used to among the residents. And when we do, it's always someone who didn't get the vaccine, either they're brand new or they elected to decline receiving it. And I also stay up with there's so much going on right now in medical science and research, and it's kind of dizzying how fast things with AI and everything and biosciences. But one article I shared with Ray the other day, you probably saw,
I read it.
was on the Shingrix vaccine. They're now saying that it helps prevent, they think it helps prevent onset of dementia as well. They think the varicella virus, because what they're seeing is certain nations are reporting back that they're seeing a pattern of people who've had Shingrix vaccination have lesser rates of onset of dementia than other people. It's like the last report was like 20% decrease, and they're seeing this being repeatable too. So it's not what the vaccine was made for, but now they're thinking, well, there's a lot of different components that go into dementia, and that's only something we're starting to figure out. But they're thinking that the varicella virus, which is the virus that causes chickenpox and later on in life, shingles, it stays with you for life, has a meaningful component of that. But yeah, and this is the time of the year where we're especially busy with the vaccination effort as well, of course, because we're getting into the flu season, getting the flu shots ready for residents and staff. We just actually yesterday vaccinated a whole bunch of residents with the RSV vaccine, and then we've got the COVID vaccines as well, which are still an annual offering. But also, I have my hands in all kinds of different things. I also support nursing at times. I've been on call for nursing since 2018, and in a pinch, they call me in to supervise or to sometimes run a unit. as far as all the many regulations, but we've got 8 chapters of policies and procedures for infection control. I manage those. We just recently brought on board a new treatment for flu. You may have heard it before. It's called Zofluza. We mentioned it in here actually several years ago. Dr. Clary finally decided, I guess this year, that he wants to actually use it. Yeah. He didn't listen to me the first time around, but
I think he wanted, for me talking to him, he wanted more research. He wanted, those additional years of research, because Zofluza is, relatively new on the market compared to.
Yeah, you don't know, you don't.
Sandwich is new too, but he wanted to start that, but But
all I know is you guys have got a tough job because, even through COVID, the physical environment that you have to work in to try to prevent disease and the spread of that.
outbreaks and
Outbreaks and managing outbreaks, given the nature of the facility, it's just, you just do a tremendous job. I got the nickname for Chris, I call him the bug doctor because, he's been doing it for a long time.
sometimes it's literal bugs too.
Yeah, right.
Parasites too, but
Parasites and I call them bugs because to me, they're all bugs, viruses, it just runs the gamut, but you guys just. The cohesiveness of the team at Riverside, you guys are the finest employees in the state as far as I'm concerned. In terms of what, given the.
Except for you, Trish.
Okay,
Right, right.
I give the most support to Ray, just for the record.
Yeah, he needs a lot of support, to say that. I just think that you guys, given the nature of what we're dealing with in that building, it's just amazing what you've been able to do. And, we went almost a whole year without the COVID virus, and that was, in no small part because of you folks who's out.
And even now, it seems to be different. I mean, the symptoms aren't as dire, it still exists. But, it's kind of a different, not only is it a different outcome, but it's like a different process.
Yeah.
But we're still, really careful, and we still vaccinate
And even with herd immunity, and the different strains that develop as a result of that, and it's just I don't envy your job because you're trying to keep ahead of all of that all the time, and there's so many changes. It is mind-boggling. I don't know how you do it.
I mean, we've been through the worst of it. That's the good.
Yeah,
That's the good part.
yeah, we hope we have anyway.
Right.
Still something new.
Yeah, but
There's a few things out there.
I think what we went through in 2020, I think was.
Yes.
I hope we're not going to see anything like that again.
Well, God bless you all for doing what you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good to see you.
You guys don't have to stay. You can go. I know you have to.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice Bob's church. I like that the leopard stuff going on there.
They really do get along really well, and
Yeah,
I learned from when I was at Rockingham that you really can't just rely on one infection person. I mean, if Chris is on vacation,
yeah.
or although he's on call 24/7, if we do a lot of COVID testing. To me, one of the most embarrassing things is to have somebody have symptoms which could be symptoms of pneumonia, appear to be. We end up sending somebody out to Wentworth Douglas and they test them and they've got COVID. And I'm going, oh, that was stupid. So we test everybody now. And anybody that has a symptom, because we can manage COVID, in the facility. We don't need, to send them out, and to a lot of our residents, sending them to the hospital is traumatizes them. It's hard for them. Just think, who wants to go to the ER? Raise your hand. Nobody. And for our people who can't understand that, it makes it that much more difficult, and it's a strain on the families, to meet the resident there. And so if we can do everything we can to avoid that, and to avoid the hospitalizations, all the better for us. And But, you know, anybody that says that COVID doesn't exist or it's all gone now, there's no way it's all gone now.
Back up.
There.
Yeah. Fortunately, we've, the last couple of times we've had it, it's been an employee. And because the residents are so well vaccinated, there hasn't, and even though the employees, most, not all, are vaccinated, it's obviously for them. They haven't spread it to the residents. So we had a few people in dietary that had it, and the last was our 11 to 7 supervisors, which is one you'd be afraid of because, you know, the supervisors all over everywhere, you know, in the facility. But no one, you know, that begins a whole round of aggressive testing. Because obviously if somebody else has it, we want to know about it right away.
Yeah.
But and some residents are eligible for, you know, an offsetting medication. However, not all residents are, or they're eligible at different dose levels depending on their other comorbidities. So it's not as simple as, oh, okay, well, let's just give, in the old days, not, still now, if you have a flu outbreak, you know, you almost, you have an understanding of what the roommate and the bathroom mates, because that complicates things with us, you know, they're using the same bathrooms. And that, when that occurs, we immediately begin treat, if there's a flu, which we haven't had in a couple of years, we immediately start treating the roommate and the bathroom mates. As long as they don't have any conflicting comorbidities. So that's a standard order. We don't even, you know, we keep the medication in stock in our emergency kit until we get the replacement meds from the pharmacy. Because, you know, the pharmacy delivers every day, but, you know, you want to start the med right away. So.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing, having them all come in, the department heads, and talk, one thing that really stands out to me is the longevity, 24 years, 25 years. Says a lot about you as well, no, but seriously, and then working in the conditions that they work in with the old nursing homes, struggling with the heat and the air conditioning, that they stick through. They have such passion and they take such good care of their residents. What an amazing team. That's all I have to say. It's just something to be proud of.
Yeah, and you know, it was funny, I know that, you know, Commissioner Levitt had made the suggestion that, you know, monthly we bring in all the department heads, which was a great idea. I wanted to shift, you know, we started with the nursing home, I was gonna shift, you know, to other departments. Except that when we got the 5-star rating, I just have taken the opportunity to bring in, you know, continue with the nursing home people so we can congratulate them. Because each one of them has a piece of this.
Right.
You know, some pieces may be bigger than others, like Chris, you know, they're forever, you know, on Chris's back. About everything that's imaginable. You know, we have infection rates, we have, I mean, just everything that they examine.
Right.
And like Chris said, he has 8 chapters of policies and procedures and so I thought it was important. Trish is an LPN, not an RN. However, she still went through the process and qualified to sit for the exam as a they call it an infection preventionalist. That's what the term is from CMS, but that way we have the backup.
It's wonderful.
And Chris, every once in a while, you know, if he just gets overwhelmed, in the past, he would wonder how much longer he could continue to do it.
Yeah, it's a lot of stress.
And so I thought it would be smart for 2 ways to get Trish. You know, she can be a backup for him, and they're perfect personality matches. You know, Chris is kind of quiet and just tremendously brilliant.
Oh, yeah. He's a smart man.
And Trish is the funny one. You know, she'll get him laughing and help him
De-stress a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really a perfect match. It really worked out great, so.
Yeah.
You know, that was a fortuitous, pairing of people, and they respect each other. You know, they have a great amount of respect for each other, so.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. And we don't, do we need two right now? No, Trish does a lot of other things.
Yeah.
And she's right, she does. If I have something that
Yeah, you need some other help.
well, I read all the doctor's notes, and if I have something in a doctor's note that doesn't look right to me, I'll give it to Trish or somebody and say, hey, what's this? You know,
Yeah.
do the research
Yeah,
on
do the
this, because
background.
I'm not a nurse. You know, do the research, because this just doesn't smell right. I mean, it doesn't seem right. You know, did this doctor miss something? Is there, and mostly it turns out to be it's done, it's just not recorded right. And when survey comes, they don't care whether it's done or, if it's not documented, it's not done. I mean, that's their answer to you. We can't say, well, we really did that, we just didn't document. No, no good. So, you know, we'll make suggestions to the doctor to more round out their notes. And as you know, they dictate their notes. So we get, on like every renewal will be 2.5 pages of typed notes. And during a sick visit, you know, it'll be at least a page or more addressing the specific issue. But, you know, that's the way it works. In fact, my intention, actually, as part of this process is to bring Dr. Clary and our medical director, who's been Roland Roberge
Yeah.
suggested that we consider hiring these two new docs that just opened a practice in Rochester, who served in Vietnam together, left as medics, went to med school, graduated and opened Salmon Falls practice. And so Dr. Clary's and Charlotte continued to be with us for 34, 35 years.
Yeah.
And Dr. Clary just told me yesterday that he renewed to, because he knew of my commitment to at least stay for the next term, next commissioner term, and he's renewed his commitment to stay with me.
Nice.
Very nice.
Because his license actually was, he had to apply for renewal in 2027, but when he found out that, you know, my commitment was to 2028, he went back and took his license, and he's in his early 80s, but he's absolutely brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. If I was ever sick, or if somebody in my family was ever sick, I'd ask him to be involved in the process.
Okay. You guys, any questions on the presentations this morning?
So they were great.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
Okay. We'll move on to item number 3, the affordable housing update. A couple of things. Number one, from the initial bubblegum drawing that you came up with, okay? I'll call it the bubblegum
Well, it
drawing.
was.
Yeah, it was. It was just a drawing on a piece of paper. And then, there's been some kind of layout changes as a result of trying to meet parking requirements. So, I need to apologize. I used the term, favor a few weeks ago regarding, asking, Warren Street and Hutter to, give us some idea of what we were looking at. I probably should have said there was a donation, so I apologize for using the term favor. That wasn't putting that real water time into it. Yeah, no, something like that for nothing. Yeah, they did it for nothing, and in any event, couple of things. They changed the layout a bit from what was presented initially, because I mean, the bubblegum drawing, I call it that, it didn't have the parking layout. And so they're trying to tighten up a site plan. Warren Street has all of the soil analysis and the wetlands analysis and all those things that we had paid for when we were doing the nursing home. You folks weren't here. But they had all that information on file, so it wasn't a difficult lift for them to do that. But I'll pass out a copy of the latest layout. And I'll make sure that so that's the latest layout in terms of having the three buildings. And I talked to Lars Strachey from Hutter
Thank you.
Construction, who was doing the construction on the warming center. Their firm has had extensive experience in building these types of buildings that we're talking about. So I asked them to look at the buildings and give us some kind of a ballpark figure. And he called me yesterday and said he thought it would run around $45 million to construct this. In total cost, he was estimating it. So that's about $250,000 per unit. So when you think about affordability, the cost of construction, really, it's not the land that's the expense. In many instances, it's the cost of construction. You with me? So granted, the land has a lot to do with it, but it's really trying to build the building and build out the parking lots and such. It's the total thing. They've estimated to be, as I said, $45 million. But that includes the parking lot and the other infrastructure that needs to be put in. They're going to work on some additional architectural and progress because this thing is a concept. It's not a done deal. It's not a done deal. It's a concept. They're willing to do a little more work on their dime to at least help us out. And there needs to be at some point an RFQ. There hasn't been an RFQ. I know Commissioner Feliciano wanted an RFQ, and I think it's a great idea. But we got to write one. And we would need some assistance in writing out an RFQ to the non-profit, basically probably the non-profit sector. To see if anyone has. There are some folks that have some experience in doing this across the state with the New Hampshire Housing Finance. I did get a communication from Matt Mayberry, who is the director of the homeowners, the building association of Concord. He told me he had 3 or 4 people that were interested in pursuing this. But I told him first of all, we'd have to write the RFQ. We haven't even started that process. Yeah, so I don't have any idea what to even show them outside of this, these initial site ideas. But there are people that are interested in doing it. So we just have to keep moving forward with it. And
There's people looking to finance it too.
right, well, there's New Hampshire Housing Finance. They finance projects of this nature. And normally it's a competitive grant, and that money comes available every year. So in terms of, I think that this type of project would rank very high on their competitiveness scale because they have just so much capacity to give out. Yeah, right.
Just a quick thing, one of the things I think from looking at other grants unrelated to this.
Yeah.
Some of the things that they look for is obviously affordability. In other words, what we can do better than the market.
Right.
And they look for land availability, which, the land has no cost. They look for operating thing. Well,
Right.
technically, we don't have to pay taxes.
Right.
And the other thing is, of course, we have power
Yeah, we have the infrastructure.
and we have city water and city sewer
Right.
and,
So all those things, you know.
all those things, I think that would help us on the scoring.
Scoring,
pieces.
yeah. Yeah, so, now it's just a matter of determining, how to come up with an RFQ. We probably could seal one and. Yeah.
I was gonna, with your permission, commissioners, I was gonna inquire through the Association of Counties to, see if any other county went out for an RFQ about something.
Right,
And see if we couldn't steal their,
the language, yeah.
you know, steal the language, so.
And I know the CAP, you know, has been involved in this, Betsy Andrews Parker has been doing this for a long, long time. Trying to get, you know, that's how Covered Bridge Manor was constructed.
And you know, regional planning also
Regional planning,
is writing our grants for that. Well, now about it, say, let's just round it off at $2.5 million. That we applied for from Go North. So they have a familiarity. Now, remember, the money for writing the grant for Go North is covered by
the
Go
grant.
North.
Right,
So we're not spending any money, even though, actually it's in the county budget. We're not spending any of county money,
Right.
and
right.
also, regional planning has applied, and I don't know the status of their application, to be one of the entities that can write grants for anybody. You know, like certified by Go North.
Right.
I know they applied for that. I'm sure they're gonna, I have every reason to believe they'd get approved simply because they've been writing grants for CDFA and, you know, other places, you know, that go to CDFA and other places, so. I'm sure that'll work out and.
Well, maybe we're gonna reach out to them to see if they've got any, you know, I think that to develop the RFQ, which I think is the right route to go. You know, it's not rocket science, everybody's done it, there's a lot of people have done this
Yep.
in our state. So we'll just look at one of their documents and see if we're kind of interested out there. According to Matt Mayberry, he's telling me that there's a lot of interest to do that, so. At least we're making an attempt on our part to ease the housing situation. You know, I know that that's one of the things that we hear in negotiation all the time with staff is that they just can't afford to, you know, to live. So, you know, so we're trying to do the best we can and trying to add some capacity to the market. And hopefully we can. There are other things that can come from that, I think. You know, a lot of those people do have animals, and Humane Society they were very excited about met with them about another issue, which I'll bring up on the new business, but they were very excited about having something like this because they could have more volunteers.
Yep.
Yeah, and volunteers at the nursing home, you know, I mean.
I was watching, national news. And one of the things that that I heard that I would ask you to consider is if there is a rent reduction as you know, as a result of the negotiation with however this proceeds with a builder, is that they require this person to volunteer 10 hours a month.
Oh.
And I'm not saying, you know, I'm not throwing that, I don't want to throw that on you and say, yes, you know, I'm just saying that I thought that was an interesting concept.
Right.
Especially where we have the Humane Society, we have the daycare center, we have the nursing home, we have the jail, all of which, you know, are ripe for volunteer experiences.
I want to share a quick story with you. When the article came out last week, I had a woman that swung by the marina to see me and she was living in her car. And she was 74 years old. And she got evicted. And she's got $1,100 a month Social Security, and she's been on waiting lists. the waiting list to get into housing authorities is very, very.
3 years, I
Yeah,
think.
three, well, I think between 3 and 5,
Yeah.
she told me, she said she was asking me if this was ever gonna be available to someone like her. She's fairly healthy, it's just that she has no family. She did have a sister that passed away, years ago and never had any children. So people don't realize that we have that type of folks out here in our society, once they get evicted, you know. For whatever reasons, the multiple reasons why, but mostly because of the cost of rents.
Right.
They seem to be the hidden population,
Right,
because frankly, they're embarrassed.
yeah, they
You
are,
know, they're embarrassed to ask for help. They're from I know if it was my parents, you know, speaking from that generation, my parents would be mortified to be
Yeah.
in that situation.
absolutely,
And therefore would survive
Yeah.
somehow,
right,
without asking for help.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'd like to make something clear too, because I saw on the social media pages that, that we're building this so that when people come out of the warming center, they have a place to live and do drugs. That's not the
That's
case at all.
baloney.
This is gonna be workforce housing and for people that are working and to help people who are trying and not for drug force housing. I just wanna make that clear.
You kind
for
of
the
wonder
record.
who's making this stuff
I
up.
know, But
Yeah, they all
it
just
just,
make
I
that
just
up.
wanna put that out there that that is not the truth.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's good.
One of the primary reasons I don't participate in social
Yeah,
media
because
is the
that's
fact that
subject to the
there's
truth.
no requirement for truth
Right, there is no
in
the truth,
in social media.
yeah.
You can just say whatever you feel like saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's no repercussion, you just lie, and that's the way it is. You just come up with everything you want. I did get an email from a person that I knew that asked me about what we thought might occur. And I said, well, I can't tell you what's going to occur because we haven't
we
got
haven't
there
gotten
yet.
there yet, but.
Haven't got there yet, but what the intention is,
Yeah.
you know, and frankly, I mean, the warming center component is certainly that's a different
All
animal.
different.
And we have a transitional housing program here now, which a lot of people don't realize. They just don't realize we run transitional housing program here for people who come out of jail, which has a direct property tax savings to local communities, because if those people are discharged from jail and have no place to go, they're gonna go on your local welfare roll. So the fact that we do discharge planning and that we have transitional housing, we have a waiting list for that transitional housing. Some of them, you know, we require them, we make sure they have a job, okay, we wanna make sure they're going back to a stable environment. But again, if they're making $20 an hour somewhere,
Can they afford to live?
how can they afford to live? Okay, they just can't. So, you know, and I know everybody's a big, you know, there are some folks out there, I read their social media and half the time I laugh because they don't have any idea what they're talking about.
I have the luxury of not reading it at all.
Yeah, well,
Well, that's good. I don't even.
I don't bother to read it. But I feel if people have an inquiry,
Yeah,
we're,
they should.
we're always available.
Yes.
And we have a county website. If they have an inquiry, they can make it and we're happy to answer it.
So we did have I was forward an actual video. I know I asked Janet and Kelly to see if we could show it.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. So. Video file. And let's hit play.
So I guess that doesn't look like a slum, does it? It does back up to the jail, and this new site plan that you have, is, you know, the foundation for that. So, I just think this technology is really,
It's crazy. Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
really cool to be able to show you what it potentially could look like. Again, the county is not going to be operating this facility. There will be no property tax involvement here. It would be done by either the public sector, the nonprofit sector. But it surrounds the jail. And I think it would be a great addition to the complex. It hides the jail from the balance of the county real estate, when you look at it. When you drive up County Farm Road, you wouldn't even see it. You wouldn't even see the jail. Which I think is another great component
Definitely
of
an
it, but,
improvement.
right,
Yeah.
so we're gonna have this go out, and I'm gonna ask that you forward just this video to it, and the site plan to members of the delegation. We're not even ready to do anything with it yet, but I've had a lot of legislators call me about it, so.
The only thing I'd say, Mr. Chairman, is remember, at least for me, looking at who's initiated to be on the ballot. A third, you
Not even
can
coming
send
back,
this,
yeah.
you can send this now, but a third of
yeah,
those people
not gonna be here.
won't be here.
But,
And we're not asking any of the current delegation to vote on anything.
right,
And we're
Yeah,
not
so-
spending any county money,
right,
you
Then
know.
they're gonna say to us that we're hiding stuff.
Well,
So-
plus they're gonna say, you know, they're gonna wanna know about.
oh, they're gonna wanna know everything.
And
we
then,
can't answer the question.
we are gonna be at the disadvantage of, because you've chosen to share this with the public in its infancy.
Right,
In other words, as it's developed, instead of throwing the final deal, so to
Deal,
speak,
right.
on the table, you're sharing it in pieces
right.
as we're
As
learning
we're learning.
this.
Yeah, you're right.
You know,
I-
we're gonna
Yeah, you're
share
right.
this and people are gonna ask us questions,
Questions, we don't have the answer.
and we don't have the answers, cause we haven't developed it that far yet.
Right,
But I think it's a tribute to how you guys chose to do this by exposing this literally as we're learning.
right. It's just an open process as far as I'm concerned, so. It is what it is, so, but I think it's kind of, I think it'll be kind of neat, it'll be a great addition to the complex. So, we'll just put it up on our website, that's all.
There you go.
Work in progress, if they want to see it, just go on the website. They can see it. Yeah, that's the concept.
And we can certainly forward it after the election,
Sure.
you know, which is that delegation that's likely to be more actively involved
Involved at some point,
at
right?
some point.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Item 4, we got item 4 then, unless you got anything else on this? No, okay. Item 4 is our upcoming events. Item 5, old and new business.
I have a piece of, I guess it's new business, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, and a request of the commission. I received through Janet, a rather substantial, right to know request. And, I can't finish that, so I'm requesting that you allow me to hire help to answer that right to know request. It's been shared with you, we shared it with you guys.
It's a ton of work.
It's eight, when you print it out, it's 8 pages of requests, and while not all of them will translate to an answer, because the answer doesn't exist, I still have to do my due diligence to check out each and every one of those requests, and I have multiple jobs now as we've talked about, the nursing home, the county administration, plus community corrections. There's just one of me, and the answers that are required there are pretty. There needs to be some due diligence to answer them correctly. So I am asking
So
that.
Who would we hire?
I don't know, I haven't done that, I haven't gone that far because I didn't wanna do it if you guys were gonna say no. But it will obviously, what I'm thinking is that I've been approached recently by a master's level student from UNH. Who was interested in public administration, it's his major. And thinking that this might be a project that he might be interested in assisting me with. I haven't approached him because if you guys said no, then I didn't want to say, hey, can you help me?
Are you gonna pay him?
Well, I would say, I don't think he's gonna do it for nothing. if I was him, I wouldn't do it for nothing. You know, so, you know, he's a college student, he's probably, you know, would love some extra money. So I would, if you guys just say okay with the concept, I would get back to you, with, more specifics.
I think it's a no-brainer, because he can only do so much, and his time's better spent doing other things than that. So I'm totally in agreement. I don't
I agree, but I mean,
really gonna spend.
it's just crazy. We have an 8-page request to find out about documents about our ideas of housing.
Yeah, which we're not even there yet. either.
That's asking us for our personal emails, personal text messages about anything to do with this, and we're gonna hire someone and the taxpayers are gonna pay for that
I,
because we're trying to help.
I don't,
I'm
I can
sorry,
only do
just-
so much.
It's just really frustrating.
I can only do so much.
But yes, if that's what we have to do, because we have to answer that.
Well, I'll get back to you with more specifics.
Okay,
Okay. All right, well, any of the old, I've got one piece of new business. I just got off the phone. With Easter Seals. They had an emergency meeting of their board. And as a result of actions by Executive Counselor Stevens, because of course they were shutting down their programming for their adult daycare program and their homemaker services in Manchester. He had a meeting with the governor, and the board of Easter Seals has met and reversed their decision. So, but however, this is how it's going to play out, as I understand it, is that they're gonna continue to do the adult daycare program, which is good news. Because I was having Ray look at what we could do, as you both are aware, of what we could do to provide adult daycare, the nursing home, if this program went away, but now they're reversing their decision. They're going to continue to do adult daycare. For the time being, and they're working with the state to find other providers, by June of next year, to provide homemaker services, but it's a wait and see. But they just wanted us to know. I just got off the phone with them before I walked in here.
So they'll continue to.
Yeah, so they're gonna, right, so they're gonna continue the programming as a result of the actions of what the governor took. And continue it, so I'm assuming we're gonna continue to get bills from them. And they just said that, you know, they would let us know when they know more.
Just a quick thing, Mr. Chairman, is that this would be timing with our budget coming up.
Right, that's correct.
For us to see, I've always been curious if we could carve out Strafford County. You know, and so it might mean a larger contribution to us, which would in the long run be a savings to us.
Right.
By not needing nursing home admissions.
And it depends, right, it depends on what they do, Ray, what the state decides to do with.
Well, I mean, we can't do it alone. I mean, you know that you announced that they're talking $1 million deficit in in those programs.
Yeah.
We're certainly, but that's a statewide deficit.
Right.
You know, they happen to have a homemaker center here in Strafford County. So, you know, we're thinking that maybe, you know, I don't know, I'm just, my mind's thinking, and it's just turning
Well, there's no
over.
question it'll have some kind of a budget impact, but we just don't know what, because it's that, again, this is a situation, I just got the phone call, so this thing's it's gonna play itself out, we're just gonna have to see how it plays out, that's all.
Yeah,
It's
but
out
I
of
mean,
our control.
I'm just planting the seed that it might be willing, it makes some sense on our part to be a larger contributor. If it continues to services specifically in our county.
Right.
You know, that's obviously, you know, we're not gonna spend our county money for anybody else, but it just seems that we might be in a little better shape because of how things are physically located.
Right, yeah. And you know, depending on the nature of what they determine, how they wanna have how they carve up the pie, for lack of a better term. We may end up having 2 or 3 different providers.
I understand.
You know, I don't know. I don't know, but I agree with you. We something certainly to look at in the budget, next year, whoever sits here will have to deal with that. But, you know, some of.
So I'm just planting the seed.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. I think that's it. We're still on schedule with warming center.
I was just over there this morning.
Yeah.
Got moving right along.
Yeah, and that's all I have for new business. You guys, you have any new business?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
So is the next part, because I go by there, you know, pretty much every day so the next part will be the framing part of
Yeah.
it?
They almost had the deck done when I went by this morning, and then the walls will start going up.
Okay. Yeah,
It'll be the outer wall.
I'm not much of a builder guy. You know, except to hire somebody to redo my kitchen, unfortunately. But it's getting there. We have a sink that works.
So, all right, so let's, well, we don't have any further old or new business. So I did get a call from Siemens, just to let you all know, that, they're moving forward with that NG audit that we talked about. They don't have anything to report, they're just doing it. They're just doing it. So we'll see how that all happens, and as soon as we get the results of that, we'll certainly have it on the public agenda. Okay, and then if there's no other old or new business, we'll move right to item number 6, which is questions or comments from the public related to this, to the agenda. So Susan, you're here today, good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So do you have any questions? I know I also see Foster's is out there. One other thing I want to bring up, if I may. I received a call from Karen Danduran after our last meeting. It was, and she had requested, just to let you two know, she had requested some kind of image from us that would show the affordable housing project, so I had answered some of her questions that was in that article. Just to let you know, but that took place after our commissioners meeting.
And it probably would have taken place during the commissioners meeting.
Right, had I
If we
known.
hadn't rushed, if we
I know.
had a demand for the use of the owl.
Right,
Downstairs at the
Right.
sheriff's meeting and had to cut the meeting off at 10 o'clock.
yeah, and
If you
I
remember,
saw-
so we've spoken to Janet about not. And it's not her fault, our
No.
meetings don't normally go that long.
uh,
So we've spoken to Janet about not scheduling those things back to back, so that there won't be any like kind of time deadline on when they end the commissioners
Right,
meeting.
and so also, the chair was in error because I saw those folks on the Zoom call, and I didn't ask if they had any comment, because we were running out, we were pressed for time. I saw Karen up there, but I didn't realize it was Karen Dandurant from Foster's. I thought it was a former employee that's been coming in and watching some of our meetings. So in any event, I'm gonna open it up for questions or comments. If there's any questions, why don't I ask Karen? Karen, are you out there? I got you on mute. Do you have any questions for us?
I am here. No real questions, except I will, of course, request a copy of that video and the site plan for the affordable housing.
Yeah, we'll forward it to you.
Bill, you can forward that, right?
Yeah, it was nice looking.
Yeah,
I can copy it and send it from.
Yeah, we'll copy it
we'll
and send
copy
it
and
to
send
you.
it to you. It's on YouTube. It's a YouTube link, if I remember correctly.
I'm not sure where the original.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, you could just send me the link. I think our photo department is like brilliant at doing stuff.
Yeah,
Stuff
and I
like
wanna
that.
show
Not
you
me, but they
also-
are.
You gotta get an updated site plan.
Yeah,
We can
good.
scan that in and send that to you.
And if-
Perfect.
I would appreciate if you said that these and the $45 million figure that I'd given you was all work that was donated to the county at no cost to us. So I would appreciate that if you write an article about it, that you include that in there.
I did get that, except not the 45 million. Nobody's giving you $45 million.
No, yeah, no, the 45 million was the figure I just got this, day or two ago.
Yes, I will make it clear that that's not a firm set in
Right,
stone.
it's just an estimated cost.
Yeah,
Um,
no
of the
problem.
hundreds, well, he estimated on 174 units. I don't know where that came from. I haven't even had time to look through any of the progress, information that Hunter has been sharing with Warren Street. Hunter probably shared something, or Warren Street might have shared something with Hunter. It's really the reverse. Because Hunter was the one I asked for the estimate from, so there's some dynamics there, we gotta still figure out, but, in any event, if you have any other
Okay.
questions, let me
Well,
know.
dare I ask about Hyder House?
You can ask, that's fine. They're still doing their IT issue. The IT seems to be the biggest holdup at this
Huh.
point. But they are anxious to move forward with it. And they even went so far as to apologize. He apologized to me, and I was supposed to share that with my colleagues, that it's taken this long. He's given them a deadline of the end of this, August 30th.
Oh, good.
Internally,
Okay.
then he's supposed to forward us a copy of an MOU.
Mhm.
You know, one of the things that'll be discussed in that MOU, just to share with you, is to the length of time. Because if they're going to, provide, and spend a lot of money, they're gonna wanna have some time there.
Sure.
So, I don't have any idea of what length of time. No one's shared that with us, with the commission or anyone else that I'm aware of, or Mr. Bauer. So that'll be an interesting discussion that we'll have in terms of the length of time. I hope it's as long as possible. I don't think there's any objection from our end that, whether
Right.
they're 3 years or 5 years. We've had those other arrangements before with other providers, so we'll see how that all goes.
I'll keep watching.
All righty,
Thank
Hey.
you.
you're welcome. Susan, you had a question?
Are you avoiding me today?
No, just wanted to get Foster's in because,
Cause we cut him off last time.
right, we cut him off. And,
Okay, so my first comment is to George.
Yeah.
Thank you for being transparent today.
Yeah.
Okay, because that is the premise of me, is being transparent and accountable. And those are lessons that I've learned in my years of public service. So thank you. My second is with regard to Easter sales. Do we know that for a definite fact that they have reversed this decision?
Yes.
Because I've had a lot of conversations and I would like to be able to go back to some of the people I've had communication with. Because
well, they told me that. I can only tell you what I was told on the phone.
exactly.
Which was that they did reverse, the board met and reversed their decision.
And that is.
That's good news.
It's good news because that is a service that many families rely upon. If you're trying to make it in this world, families are out there working. They have elderly or friends or whatever that they take care of, and they need a day program for them.
They do.
Or sometimes it's just a matter of giving them a break during the day to have somebody that they trust take care of their family or their friends.
We have provided respite services here at the county for many, many, many years. It's a really valuable thing to have. You can't have this system. You can't have a system that turns around and says everybody's on their own. Prior generations learned that just doesn't work. And I know that Ray, that's been a particular thorn in my side for a very, very long time,
It's just becoming more and more difficult, cause
you just don't have the room.
well, I probably should have clarified it when the admissions person was here, but I mean, we have a long waiting list, but there's only a certain portion of that list that I would call critical.
Yeah.
You know, people will call and say, oh, I wanna get put on your waiting list, cause I know you have a long waiting list, so,
Yeah.
you know, and I might not be quite ready yet, but I had a cutest husband and wife came in,
Is this a 30-second story?
maybe, it might not be. Cutest husband and wife came in, and I met them the other day, and they were just planning for themselves. So they wanted to go around to various nursing homes
Yeah, and check them
and
out.
look
Right.
and check on things and the husband could ambulate, the wife was in a wheelchair. And while I don't know the specifics I didn't look into the specifics of the medical situation. I just thought that I think people are scared. I think they're scared that they're going to be in a situation and not have planned for it, and then just all of a sudden they're there and there's gonna be no room at the end. And I think that's, I've seen other signs of it, but that one yesterday or the day before was the clearest sign that I've ever seen.
I think you're gonna start seeing, this is my own personal observation, that just looking at those of us in this room were either getting there or we're already
We're already there.
there. And it's just another function of having to plan in life. And there's some that just, they put the blinders on and they just think that this whole concept is just gonna go away. And it's not. And
Including members of our county
I was
delegation.
just gonna say that 40% of the delegation.
Yeah, they all think, yeah.
Well, plus, you know, I just reviewed an article from the Alzheimer's Association. Now, remember, this association does nothing but focus on dementia. And they're talking about almost the exact same statistics that you talked about. I mean, you were talking about New Hampshire statistics. They're talking about nationwide statistics. And they're talking about the doubling of dementia, you know, in the next 30 years. And while we had people stand up at our meetings when we talked about the nursing home saying, oh, dementia is going to be cured, we're not going to have dementia anymore. And then you have an association that does nothing but research and fundraise to help eliminate dementia, saying that even based on their best efforts, it's going to double in the next 30 years. And I'm thinking, you know, that, yeah, count me in. You know, if I live anywhere near that long, I'm probably gonna be one of those people, but, you know, it's a scary thought for those people that are of age that need to support people that, you know, are gonna be that old. My parents have passed, Sandy's parents have passed, but you know, now I think my kids are just worried about me and Sandy.
You know, there was recently, and I probably shouldn't talk about this publicly, but I'm gonna do it because it irritates me. There was a couple here in New Hampshire, and I'm not gonna give you any more information than that were elderly, and they had no children, and they were worried, they were both about the same age, and they were worried about what was gonna happen to them. They just outlived their social security. I mean, you know, the usual pressures that everyone's facing. You know, cost of rents, you know, cost of living, all those things that are really what matter to people, okay? And as a result of it, they held each other hand, and the husband shot his wife in the head and he shot himself. Because they didn't think there was any future for them. And that is.
it happens more often than what you realize.
That's right, and it's wrong, okay, it's wrong.
The richest society in the world.
Right, the richest society in the world, we have people that think that they have to do that because they don't see any way out. And in that, I'm passionate about this because in our old presentation, in our first presentation of nursing home, we had 180 units of curtilage that those folks could have moved to, and we could have been able to help them out. Uh, and I'm passionate about it because I've been here a long time. I've been in public office 50 years. And I've seen it my entire life. And it seems like every time we turn around, we, don't want to talk about some of the harsh realities that exist and how it affects people. And I was taught by old-time politicians that taught me that we're here to help people. And if we can't help people, I don't know why we're here, because that's the bottom line. And something like that, having that happen, tragedy like that in New Hampshire, just makes me sick. And it's about time that our leaders, not only statewide, but nationally, recognize the pressures that people are under, and especially our elderly. If you think of that generation, Ray, you know what I'm talking about here. That generation went through the Depression, were now in their late 80s and in their 90s. Okay, they grew up with nothing.
My parents.
Yeah, my mother, she's 90 years old. They grew up. She went through the Depression. Okay, she was a Depression baby. She went through the World War. Those people won't ask for help, like you mentioned earlier. They won't ask you for anything. They had nothing when they were young, so their focus is that okay, well, I'll have nothing in the end. And it's just a sad statement about what we're doing.
Well, they've just never been able to get ahead of the curve. I mean, they've just never been able to get ahead of the curve. I mean, my parents were fortunate. My father, got a really good job when he got out of the military, and they were able to retire adequately. I wouldn't call it, I'm not sure I'd call it comfortably, but adequately. And
it's just wrong. It's just wrong. My mom worked.
Consider ourselves lucky.
$1.10 an hour at Claristad. And then she went to Eastern Air Devices when Charlie Crocco.
I remember.
When Charlie Crocco was our county treasurer, God rest his soul, when they found out my mother was pregnant with me, they fired her. Okay? So.
I can't necessarily blame them for how that turned out.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily,
Right.
I mean, if they must have had a really good crystal ball to figure that one out.
I never forgave Charlie for that, because when he was serving in here as county treasurer with me, I said, Charlie, I had to listen to you and the way you guys were doing business, I'd have been floating in the river a long time ago. In any event, they fired. So that's what they did in that generation. That's just what happened. And those people still exist. They're old now. And, when they're trying to live on $1,100 a month, give me a break. And we just sit back here and we all talk about it. That's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about getting this affordable housing project forward, because it needs to happen. Okay, it just needs to. And with 4 and 5 year waiting lists at the housing authority, we're just losing our way. That's the way I look at it. But that's just me. Anyway, we get any other questions or comments from the public?
Well, you've shared some of your history. Some of my history was my grandfather was a selectman for many years and my grandmother was the welfare agent.
Yeah.
I remember 3, 4, 5 years old being there, people knocking on the door and my grandmother giving them eggs and milk because they had chickens, they had cows. It's a different time, okay? You didn't have some of the regulations you have today.
Right.
And there was a check there for a couple of dollars to go so that they could buy some groceries to get them through. There was neighbors that worked because their husbands had passed away and they were in their 80s. They were still waitressing tables. There was always a plate of food for them when they came home, or we delivered food. So these are things that there's some of us that understand and who still, I grew up that way. I practiced that method and hopefully I've taught my children that. And that's something that I think that we need to continue to set those examples, and I'm off my high horse for today.
Yeah, that's good. I hear you. Anytime, I just don't understand when Catholic Charities went to Rochester and wanted to build that affordable housing project, why people like Cliff Newton and many others showed up and said they were against it. I mean, I just don't understand that thought process. No. And I get it, but I don't understand it.
I don't even get it.
I
I
know,
mean, we
it's
gotta
like-
do something about it.
Right, and if the nonprofit sector is willing to do it, I mean, give me a break. Anyway. I'll get off my high horse now, how's that?
Well, I wore the boots today.
Yeah, I see that, yeah. Alrighty, I see that somebody else has joined us on the Zoom. Is there anybody else out there in Cyberland that wants to ask a question of the commission? No? I guess we're all set then. Okay, then the chair will entertain a motion to move in a non-public session. The purpose of discussing personnel is contract negotiations, been moved and seconded.
Bye.
Requires a roll call. Commissioner Feliciano? Commissioner Levitt, myself. Okay, the commission will retire to non-public session. Thank you.